Hello, this is Doe Wilkerson with Old School Boxing Talk. This is the review of the Thurman Garcia fight. And congratulations to Keith One Time Thurman for winning the WBC and retaining his WBA welterweight title and remaining undefeated. So congratulations to One Time. Now, I watched the fight, and the first time I watched the fight, I had like 3 rounds even. Rounds 3, round 8, and round 12 I had even. So, needless to say, my first scorecard was 116-115 Thurman. So then I had to go back and rewatch the fight all over again. And the rounds I had even now, when I rewatched it with the volume off, I wound up giving those rounds, 2 of those 3 rounds to Thurman. My final was 115-113 Thurman. Danny Garcia didn't do a lot. I expected more from Danny Garcia. I really expected him to press the fight more. I expected him to go to the body more. I expected what I got out of Keith Thurman. I figured Thurman was going to start fast, and he usually does. And I got what I expected out of Thurman, but I didn't get what I expected out of Garcia. Wow. When Keith Thurman used the jab and pressed forward, he completely dominated. He was in command of the fight. He stick his jab, he moved forward, he kept Danny Garcia on the back foot. You know, he was dominating in those rounds. And then when Danny would pull forward, when Keith would decide to start using movement, Danny would pretty much take over a little bit, but Keith would flurry. And a lot of times it was a lot of those flurries that maybe stole the round for Keith. It was like I said, it wasn't. I expected more from Danny Garcia. Honestly, I expected Danny Garcia to do more. There were rounds late in the fight where Keith Thurman just totally just ran. And there's a difference between running and boxing. Boxing is when you move around the ring, yet you're looking for angles, you're popping your jab, you're looking for things, and you're trying to set up shots. That's boxing. What Thurman was doing a lot of times, especially in the 12th round, was just running. He was just running, getting out of, moving around, just getting that state, hoping not to get hit, maybe, whatever. He was running. And I gave the 12th round to Danny Garcia when I rewatched it, just because when I watched it the first time, it was just like, okay, Thurman was running, but he was stopping, pop, he was stopping and popping, whatever. When I rewatched it, I just looked at Danny's being aggressive here. Danny's acting like he wants this here. So more so than Thurman, so I gave it around to Danny. In my first video that I did of the review, the preview, I picked Danny Garcia, and I thought Danny would win 116-112. Because I expected Danny Garcia, honestly, I expected Keith Thurman to start strong, but I figured Danny would start picking up some middle rounds, which he did. And I expected Danny to be the stronger man going down the stretch, which obviously he didn't do. I don't know what's wrong, because I watched Danny Garcia fight a lot. Now, and I like Danny Garcia, but he just didn't seem like there was any urgency. And I don't know if that's the fault of his father not saying, hey, we might be behind here, step it up, or whatever, because he didn't go out there in the 11th and 12th rounds to say, hey, I need this. He didn't go out there with that urgency. Excuse me, that I think, had he gone out there with that urgency, he might have won the rounds. I mean, I think there were a lot of close rounds that Danny kind of allowed Keith Thurman to steal by his inactivity. And I personally gave the first like I said, when I watched the first time, I gave the first 2 rounds definitely to Keith Thurman. I gave the third round, I had even the first time. The second time I rewatched them all, and I had it. I gave the first 3 rounds to Thurman when I rewatched it. And I just think that Danny Garcia done more, and maybe taking one of those first, out of the first 4 rounds, I gave Keith Thurman 3 out of the first 4 rounds. Maybe had Danny just kept it even, or even being down 3 rounds to 1. I don't, I think Danny could have come back if he'd done more, but he just let a lot of rounds get away from him because he just didn't do enough. And he allowed Thurman to steal the rounds late. He allowed Thurman to get off. And I think that Danny just, I don't know, sometimes fighters just have off nights. I mean, it just like, I don't know, just Danny Garcia didn't seem like Danny Garcia. I've seen Danny, like I said, I've seen Danny fight before, and I expected Danny Garcia to do more than he did. And I mean, congratulations, Keith Thurman. I mean, not knock, but Keith Thurman did what he had to do. He won the fight. He boxed. He early on he slugged, which is really surprising. There was a lot of exchanges early on. A lot of exchanges in this fight. So it was, it wasn't a total bore fest until like late in the rounds 9 through 12 got boring because, it wasn't for Danny. It was like Keith Thurman would pick moments to just run, just he'd get his little thing and then he'd just run around and he decide that, okay, let me try to steal the round late. And those are the things that Danny unfortunately didn't do enough in those moments to steal those rounds because of his pursuit and his effective aggression. Danny didn't put enough. In fact, Danny didn't do enough. He allowed Keith to do that crap, and then Keith would jump in and throw his little flurries to steal the round. I think when both men realized, they could take the other man's punch. I think that part of it okay, you hit me with your best shot, I hit you, okay, now we know, okay, I can take your shot, you can take my, okay. I think then it became a chess match, and that was, it was a clinical chess match because you have fighters at a high level, and the fighters at a high level are not going to fight like a couple of guys in the 4-rounders, guys that are fresh out of the amateurs, or guys that are fresh in the boxing where they're just wailing away like, 2 guys in a goddamn tough man contest. When you're at the level that Thurman and Garcia are at, you're not going to see as much action because this is high level stuff. And that's what they gave you, high levels, high level chess match, high level stuff in a lot of rounds. I think the fans started booing when Thurman started running. When Thurman fought, it was a good fight. When Thurman decided to run, it became a bad fight. So now the question is, what's next? Well, I guess Lamont Peterson is next for Thurman because he's a mandatory now. So I guess Lamont Peterson will be next, and I would be interested to see that fight. But I've discovered, the thing I've discovered about a lot of fighters, and about Thurman in particular, is, he has a nickname one time. And maybe that was good when he was fighting coming up. But since he started fighting top tier guys, he hasn't knocked anybody out. And my analogy was Tommy Hearns was called the Hitman. And because he was the Hitman, Tommy Hearns was knocking people the hell out. And maybe Keith Thurman is one of those guys that he had it in the amateurs, he had it early on in the pros, but as you start facing a higher level of opposition, that knockout is not going to be there. It's not there. I believe uh, when he won the WBA title was the last time he knocked somebody out. I don't think he scored a knockout since he's been champion. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm hoping somebody will correct me on that. But I don't think Keith Thurman has scored a knockout since he's won the WBA title. And I think the last knockout he had was when he won a WBA title. I don't think he's had a knockout since. For Danny Garcia, Danny was never really a big puncher. A lot of people got, okay, Danny's at 140. They, got happy up for, he knocked out you got old Eric Morales out there. He knocked out a chinny, Amir Khan. I'm not even going to talk about Rod Selka, But, Danny Garcia is not really a knockout puncher. He's a guy that will beat you by out hustling you, outsmarting you, and, like he beat Lucas Matisse, he just beat you down. Very good boxer. But I'm not shocked that I thought he would work the body more. I thought Danny Garcia would put more in the body, would work the body more. And if the body is Keith Thurman's kryptonite, well, I don't know, for some reason he got over tonight because, like I said, Thurman did a very good job of boxing. Now, the future for both of them is pretty good, actually, because when you think about it, neither man really looked great. And it was a good fight, but I don't think Manny Pacquiao is afraid to face either one of these guys. I think they did enough that maybe even win or lose, they worked their way in. And Manny Pacquiao might say, you know what? I'll get past Amir Khan. I might fight that whoever, Thurman or Garcia. Because I think I could beat them. I think Garcia maybe more so than Thurman. But then the trouble starts. Because should the winner of the IBF fight between Earl Spence Jr. and Kell Brook, should it, they're going to maybe want a piece of, Thurman. They may even want a piece of Garcia. I think if Kell Brooks wins, he's definitely going to want to fight Danny Garcia because he's going to see the dollar signs. If Spence wins, as most of us expect him to, but we could be wrong, Spence is going to be hard pressed. I mean, see, the thing about Earl Spence is when you get to that level and you're as good as he is, or he seems to be, and he's going to prove to us against Kell Brooks, he's going to show us if he's the real deal. People are going to criticize Spence because they're going to say, all he's going to do is fight the mandatory. Well, yeah, because Thurman's in no hurry to fight him. I don't know if Garcia's going to want to fight him. So he may wind up fighting the winner of Sean Porter versus Andre Berto, which I like Sean Porter in that fight. Maybe the guy that spent, should he win, wind up fighting the end of the year. Keith Thurman, Lamont Peterson should happen sometime later on this year. I expect to see Danny Garcia get back into the ring. I don't see Danny just staying. I hope Danny gets back in the ring. I don't think either guy got badly hurt. Neither guy was badly marked up. So hopefully we can have a quick turnaround. What I do like, though, is, and also there's a good case for a rematch. There's a good call for a rematch. So what I would like to see is bring them both back. Let Lamont Peterson have his mandatory shot against Thurman. Put Danny Garcia on the undercard against somebody credible. And let's run it back. Let's run it back. We got enough time this year. If these guys get back in the ring 3 times, they have this fight here. Okay, we just had this fight March 4th. April, May, June, you bring them back. Give them some time off. Okay, back in June, July, you bring bring Peterson and Thurman and put Danny Garcia back in there. In July, August, November, December, you bring them back again for the rematch at the end of the year. Bring them back in December for the end of the year. You have that rematch end of the year. Champions, you should fight. These guys need to fight more than once a year. They didn't get hurt. They didn't get badly. Since then, they got badly hurt, and I don't know what happened behind the scenes. But unless there's a major injury, I'd like to bring these guys back again. I like to get this Peterson fight done no later than June. I think you get it done between now and June. You got enough time for a camp. Take some time off, get your ass back in the camp, and let's get this Peterson fight done. From the Peterson fight, you bring Danny Garcia in with somebody quality. No more gimmies. Put him in with somebody quality. You turn around the winner of that, and by this time, Errol Spence, Kell Brook fight is already passed, because that fight's happening in May, so that fight will have a winner. So you bring them back. You bring them back. Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia. They're fighting on the same card. Keith fights Lamont Peterson. Danny Garcia fights. Somebody credible in the top 10. Danny Garcia, should he win? Keith Thurman win? End of the year, November, December. You bring Errol Spence Jr., put him against the winner, Sean Porter, Andre Berto. You take Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia rematch. So you got Spence, you got Errol Spence Jr. Making his first defense. Keith Thurman making his first second defense, and you got the welterweights there. And whatever happens with Pacquiao, we can't even think about what's going on with Pacquiao, because should Manny Pacquiao, as expected, knock off Amir Khan? I don't know if Manny's going to, maybe Manny's going to look to maybe jump in there with any of those young lions anyways. So the best thing to do is to get those young lions together. Let Thurman and Garcia finish up their thing. Errol Spence against Sean Porter, take care of that business. And then 2018, we can start building toward Errol Spence Jr. versus Keith Thurman for, another unification fight, and keep it pushing. Also, we need to also throw another title fight on. I mean, look, I understand it's on free TV, and that's great, but we have to give these fans something more to keep those eyes going. We got to give them more. The young Lubin kid looks like, he's a prospect. He's somebody to watch. But you can really put a decent card on there and have a nice night and get these guys, And I think that holding it at the Barclays seems to be a great, arena. I mean, I just want to see some good fights. I want to see some good fights, and I want to see something that's going to lead to something. Like I said, I think you can do this thing here. This was a good fight. Okay, let's get this thing. Let's get these guys back in the ring in June and back in the ring again in November, December. And we end the year up. Danny Garcia, we might end the year up with Danny Garcia ends the year winning. Maybe he wins the rematch. And now we go into 2018. Whoa, hold on a minute. We got Garcia Thurman 3. Or Keith Thurman could, maybe if Thurman gets a sweep. We don't know, but I want to see it happen. Because I want to see it eventually move to the fact that the winner's going to fight Errol Spence Jr. To kind of say to Manny, hey, we've done our business over here. What are you doing? And I know the WBO is always greatly interested in unification fights. So I think the WBO and the WBC push for those more so than the IBF and WBA do. So there's a chance that they could, would the WBO be willing to say to Manny, hey, we want this unification fight, are you going to give up that belt? Which I think Manny, if push came to shove, will say, fuck it, take the damn belt. I don't need it. Bob Arum will cry about it, but it is what it is. There are good fights to be made in the welterweight division. Um, and it's just a matter now, Al Heyman putting them together, Al Heyman and PBC people putting them together, getting these guys back in the ring. And I'm sure the ratings are going to be pretty good for this one. And we'll see how it does. I'm sure the ratings are pretty good. They'll say, okay, let's get this back. You know, we can do some business here. So that's all for this week. Quick turnaround. And until the next big fight, which looks like it's going to be Golovkin and Jacobs in 2 weeks, I will be back the week of to do my prediction. And I'll be back afterwards to give you my review of that one. So, and of course, I'll probably have a video in between there. Who knows, something comes up that I want to talk about. So, till next time, it's Joe Wilkerson signing off.